Good morning, guys. It is 12:58 on Monday, the 18th of December, and we are now entering into the week before Christmas, where things are expected to escalate, kick off, what have you. We're not exactly sure what's going to happen, if something's going to happen, but what we're seeing in, iPad Goat videos, Simpsons, and various other media, as well as all the signs that we've been shown in the stars, the moon, the sun, you know, asteroids. We seem to be entering into a important time. I wanted to just quickly, I keep getting drawn back to this one particular scene in this iPad Goat video for whatever reason. Today I think I might have a new revelation on it. So we see before where I mentioned that Obama's foot has this steel toe cap, and then he's kind of like stepped in to protect the pound or to save the pound, or from him stepping in, the pound gets saved. I think there's also another meaning to this particular scene here. I'm just going to pause it. I think what we might be seeing here is Obama's foot with the steel toe cap, which is the steel, and then we've got his foot covering some of the coin here, and then we've got the actual pound coin itself. So while I still believe that after this event that takes place in New York, from what we can tell, Obama steps in, the markets plunge, Obama steps in, and the pound is saved. And as I showed you with the Illuminati card game, if you haven't seen that, I will quickly show you. Don't mind my spelling. Mega card. Okay, so just here you can see, I think the smallest one, even though you can't see it, I think it might be the euro, because that's not depicted anywhere. And the euro seems to be, devoured by the cents and the dollar, and then the dollar seems to be devoured by the pound, then the pound is devoured by the yen, and then the yen is devoured by the Illuminati currency, which we believe is Bitcoin. If I go back to this scene here, what I'm thinking, now that I just showed you kind of the last currency in the line, according to the Illuminati card game and the bank merger card, this scene could also be saying to us steel, as in the steel toe cap, bit, as in Obama's foot is covering a bit of the coin, so steel Bitcoin. And today I received a report that the North Koreans have hacked and stolen Bitcoin by targeting currency insiders. So that gives me a little bit more of a solid lead onto what I believe that particular scene is talking about. So it just says here, I'll scroll down a bit. Attempts have been taking place as recently as November, but Secure Works analysts saw activity as early as 2016. The organization adds that the campaign is likely to still be going, and that this is a preliminary report. We may get a better sense of the scope in the future. But it's easy to see why Lazarus would try a campaign like this, and Lazarus is the name of the North Korean hacking organization. It has already conducted money-grabbing efforts like the 2016 bank attack that swiped $81 million, and taking even a handful of Bitcoins could reap a windfall when just one Bitcoin is worth roughly $19,400. Now that's very expensive. That's a very high value for just one Bitcoin. And then I just come back to this, and it seems to point that out. I think we can all agree that this metal on Obama's toe is steel, because we know about steel toe cap shoes and steel toe cap boots. And then we can blatantly see that his foot is covering some of the coin, or a bit of the coin. and then we have the coin itself. So I do think that this is talking about Obama stepping in after the event that takes place in New York, as if this is correct interpretation, to save the pound. But I also think it's telling us that Bitcoin, some of it gets stolen or still Bitcoin. So I just wanted to point that out. Some of you may agree, some of you may not, but I think it's a likely interpretation, especially when it's connected to a real world event like this. And then onto the kind of normal reports. China war, planes enter no entry zone. South Korea forced to scramble jets. So the South Korean army was forced to scramble its fighter jets after 5 Chinese military planes entered a disputed area in the Korean peninsula. The Chinese warplanes included 2 bombers, 2 fighter jets, and a reconnaissance plane, an official confirmed. I just wanted to point out because obviously we can tell how active things are and how serious things are especially by the responses that you're getting from China. China is North Korea's sole ally. It would make sense that they would be privy to some information that the rest of us may not be privy to, and they are taking considerable actions along their border in relation to North Korea and the USA. So I feel like things are, stepping up even more, and that only gets more compounded when you get a report that says Beijing urged to mobilize its troops in anticipation of Korean War between now and March. So we just enter the 18th, the week before Christmas, the time where we think everything is going to be kicking off, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, even the 24th and the 25th. And then we see that a former senior commander of China's military has urged Beijing to mobilize its troops in anticipation of war on the Korean peninsula, and that's between now and March. So I thought that was worth pointing out. We can move on to the next report, which then has an actual, like a warning directly from one of the teams that operate the fighter jets. And we don't usually get reports like that. They usually come through the government officials. But this one is a direct report, so I'm going to play it.
If there were a conflict, do you have a fairly daunting task? Any conflict, and especially this conflict, is one that you really don't want to see if you can avoid it. But if it does come to that, there's no better fighter wing in the world prepared to deal with the threat that we deal with out here.
This is deterrence at work. Wolf 2 and his fellow pilots practice every day so that North Korea knows if it ever attacked the South, it would be attacking the United States too.
I want to be ready because I want to send the message of deterrence and the message of leave us alone, you don't want to mess with us. But if you make the mistake of straying across that line, may God have mercy on the Wolfpack's prey, because we are ready. Readiness is our currency, and we have money in the bank.
Can I ask the First Minister?
The Wolfpack is ready, as you heard him say. They're ready to attack once given the command, and lined up with everything else. That command could come at any time, and I think all that needs to happen now is for North Korea to do something, just to launch a missile or to conduct another nuclear test. It may seem likely that it will be another nuclear test since they've been digging out their tunnels near their nuclear test site in Pyongyang-ri, and we'll see what happens. I mean, they was expected to do something yesterday on the 17th, the anniversary of Kim Jong-un's dad's death, and that was compounded with the fact that he visited the sacred mountain, and instead of going to the mass funeral, which I showed yesterday, he went to the mausoleum. He's gone to the mass funeral for the last 6 years, well, for the last 5 years, and this is the 6th year, and this is the only year that he's decided not to go to the mass funeral, but instead to go to the mausoleum where his granddad and his father are buried, or stored. We don't know what took place there, but it seems significant. It seems like he's almost seeking their approval for what he's about to do, or, what it seems like he's about to do. So that's really all I've got for you today, at the moment. The main thing I wanted to point out is the interpretation that I believe is being fulfilled as we speak with Bitcoin being stolen. And I think, if I'm looking at it just normally, I think you guys will agree that this is still, he's covering a bit and this is a coin. I mean, they could have used any coin, which is why I think it also means that Obama steps in and saves the pound, because obviously there's hundreds of different coins they could have used in this scene, but they've used the pound coin, so I feel like that has weight and relevance to the pound coin being, saved for a time anyway. It's not going to be saved forever, because as you can see here, the dollar goes, then the pound takes over, then the pound goes and the yen takes over. So I think that's a correct interpretation. At the same time, when you look at this report of, the North Koreans hacking in to steal Bitcoin, you can see that we've got still covering a bit and a coin. So just wanted to point that out. We're in the week of high watch, and I encourage all the watchmen out there to really, really pay attention to absolutely everything that's going on. Everything that you watch, everything that you hear, just, take it with a pinch of salt and try and see if there's any subliminal messaging behind it. A lot of people are making videos and, updating what they see, even dreams as well, people having dreams about these kind of things. So I'm interested in all of it. I soak it in like a sponge, and then I try and basically release whatever information I feel is really, really relevant to the times that we're in now. That's it, guys. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and God bless.